The author Gary Keller had built a successful company in less than a decade. He had plans to expand worldwide, but suddenly he couldn't keep up. Gary gave all his commitment and hard work to his company. Yet everything was falling apart. His life was in complete chaos. Gary hired a coach to help in his situation. He explained the challenges he was going through in his company and personal life. Together they discussed his goals and where he wanted to be in the future. After seeing the problems, they searched for a solution. Gary's coach brought the company's organizational chart on a wall. He asked Gary, "Do you know the one thing you can do to solve everything?" Gary answered no. The coach pointed out 14 key positions on the organizational chart. He explained that Gary must find the right people for those key positions. If he does, his job, company, and life will greatly improve. Gary was shocked because he thought he needed to do many things, but the coach assured him that he only needed to do one. So, what did Gary do next? He resigned as CEO and dedicated all his time and energy to filling those 14 key positions with the right people. The result is that within 3 years, the company achieved consistent growth. From the regional, it reached the national and then international level. Gary's company reached extraordinary success. Gary Keller proved the power of the one thing. He saw its relevance even more when he started working with the 14 key people. He helped them to build their careers and departments. Gary would regularly have coaching sessions with them. At the end of every session, they will set the goals to achieve and report for the next week. Unfortunately, Gary's key people got many things done, but these were all unimportant tasks. They are not making progress in their goals, and so Gary helped them to simplify their to-do lists. He asked, "What are the 3 things you can accomplish this week?" Next, he said, "What are the 2 things you can accomplish this week?" Then, out of desperation, Gary went as small as they could and said, "What's the one thing you can do this week that by doing it, everything else becomes easier or unnecessary?" Finally, something amazing happened. These 14 key people reported their best ever results. In this book, you will learn more about the power of the one thing. You will learn the focusing question and how to apply it to your future goals and key areas of your life. You will learn the simple formula for achieving extraordinary results. The road to success starts with one thing. This book will show you how. The Domino Effect. Domino Day was held in the Netherlands on November 13, 2009. The world record domino fall was arranged by the Wire's Domino Productions. They lined up almost 4.5 million pieces of dominoes. When they were set into motion, it was estimated that the dominoes released 95,000 joules of energy. It was the energy that an average-sized man needs to do 545 push-ups. Every standing domino contains a small amount of potential energy. When you line up more pieces, you also gather more potential energy. With a simple touch, you can start a chain reaction of incredible power. The Wire's Domino Productions proved that when you start the one thing and it's the right thing, it can lead to many great things. Here is another amazing fact. One domino can bring down many other dominoes, but it can also bring down dominoes bigger than it. Lorne Whitehead wrote this discovery in the American Journal of Physics in 1983. He explained that a single domino could topple another domino that is 50% larger than it is. In 2001, another physicist from the Exploratorium in San Francisco applied Lorne Whitehead's theory. He created 8 dominoes from plywood. Each piece was 50% bigger than the last one. The first domino was only 2 inches tall, and the 8th domino was already 3 feet tall. The movement of the dominoes started with a small flick and ended with a loud slam. Imagine if we keep going and line up more dominoes that are 50% bigger than the one before it. The 8th domino is 3 feet tall. The 10th domino would be as tall as the NFL quarterback Peyton Manning at 6 feet and 5 inches. The 18th piece would already be as big as the Leaning Tower of Pisa. Go further, and the 23rd piece would be like the Eiffel Tower. Can you still picture it in your mind? Imagine a domino standing 3,000 feet taller than Mount Everest. That is the 31st piece. And finally, the 57th domino would already cover the distance between the Earth and the Moon. You can reach as far as the Moon if you prioritize your tasks and start with the most important one. By accomplishing the one most important thing, all the other tasks would be easier or already solved. To get extraordinary results, you need to apply the domino effect in your life. Arranging a straight line of ordinary dominoes is easy. You just pick one and follow it with another. But in real life, there are no guidelines on which task to do first. That is why every day, highly successful people set their priorities. They find the domino that will make the most impact and focus on it until it falls. Why is this approach effective? It's because extraordinary success happens step by step and not all at once. Highly successful do the right thing and follow it with the next right thing. Time passes by and it all adds up, which results in extraordinary success. The domino effect applies to the main aspects of your life, like your job or business. It also applies to your daily tasks when you decide on what to do next. Success leads to another success. It happens over and over until you achieve the highest level possible. Someone who has plenty of knowledge learned it over time. Someone who has expert skills practiced it over time. Someone who has accomplished a lot worked on it over time. Someone who is wealthy has earned it over time. So, to be successful, do the one most important thing at a time. The focusing question. In the previous chapters, we discussed the effectiveness of the one thing. Now, we will focus on how exactly you can apply it in your life. It starts with asking the right question. In 1885, the billionaire entrepreneur Andrew Carnegie gave a speech to college students in Pennsylvania. By that time, the Carnegie Steel Company was one of the biggest and most profitable industrial firms in the world. Carnegie became one of the wealthiest men in history. In his speech, he explained a key secret to achieving extraordinary success. Carnegie told the students, "A primary condition for success is to focus all your energy, ideas, and capital exclusively on your one business. Lead it, make every improvement, get the best machinery, and learn everything you can about it. Entrepreneurs fail when they scatter their capital, which means they scatter their brains too. They invest in this and that, or any business they like. People often say, 'Don't put all your eggs in one basket.' But in my opinion, you must put all your eggs in one basket and observe that basket closely. It is easy to carry and take care of one basket. But when you carry too many baskets, you will break many eggs. So how do you know the one basket that will lead you to success? It is through the focusing question. You may be thinking, why ask a question when what we need is an answer? Well, we get answers from questions, and when we ask a good question, we also find a good answer. If we ask a powerful question, it can make a great impact on our life. Indira Gandhi once said, "The power to question is the foundation of human progress." All great scientists and inventors started by asking the right questions. Life is a question, and how you choose to live is your answer. And now, let's reveal the focusing question. Here it is. What is the one thing I can do that by doing it all my other tasks will be easier or unnecessary? The focusing question is so simple that many people could easily ignore it. But that would be a waste because the focusing question holds great power. It helps you to answer the big questions such as, where am I going? What is my ultimate goal? And the small questions such as, what is the task I must do right now that leads to my goal? Imagine a circle with a small dot in the middle. The circle is the big picture. It represents your one thing. The dot inside it is the small focus. It represents your one thing right now. The focusing question has 3 parts. It is divided into 3 to show its effectiveness and great potential. The first part is, what is the one thing I can do? The important words here are one thing. It tells you that although you have many tasks, you must only commit yourself to one thing and not 2, 3, or more. It forces you to choose one thing and one thing only. The second part of the focusing question is that by doing it. There is a difference between doing something and doing something with a purpose. That by doing it means that when the one thing is done, it will lead to something else. So, you need to give it your best. The third and last part of the focusing question is, my other tasks will be easier or unnecessary. This is how you will know if that one task is the first domino. Will it make the other tasks easier? Will it solve the other problems that you don't need to work on them anymore? These criteria declutter your job and remove distractions. So, remember the focusing question. What is the one thing I can do that by doing it all my other tasks will be easier or unnecessary? The first domino will topple many bigger dominoes if it is the right piece. Focus on it and nothing else until you bring it down. The other dominoes behind it will easily fall or have fallen already. That's the power of the one thing. Here are some practical tips. Ask the focusing question regarding your job, business, family, team, or any other area where you want extraordinary results. Use the big picture question. What's my one thing to develop a vision for your life, career, or company? You can also use it to know what you want to give to others and how you want to be remembered. Lastly, ask the small focus question. What's my one thing right now when you wake up in the morning and throughout your day? It keeps you focused on the most important task and helps you find the first domino in every activity. The small focus question will make your work week as productive as it can be. It will bring great results in your personal life too. The small focus question keeps you in touch with your most immediate needs and the most important people in your life. The success habit. Habits are hard to develop and hard to break. When we start and continue a mindset or behavior, it becomes a new habit over time. We have the choice to develop habits that will help us achieve our goals. Asking the focusing question is the best success habit we can have. For the author Gary Keller, the focusing question is part of his lifestyle. He uses it to set his priorities, be more productive, and increase his income. Gary asks the focusing question when he wakes up and starts the day. He asks it while he works and again when he arrives home. What's the one thing I can do that by doing it all my other tasks will be easier or unnecessary? You can drive yourself crazy thinking about every little detail of your task. That is not what Gary means. Instead, you must start with the big issues and see where they lead you. Eventually, you will know when to ask the big picture question and when to use the small focus question. Imagine the focusing question written in the middle of a paper. What's the one thing I can do that by doing it all my other tasks will be easier or unnecessary? There are arrows pointing out of it towards circles. Each circle represents an aspect of your life, your spiritual life, physical health, personal development, relationships, career, and finances. It is best to ask the focusing question in that order. Each aspect is a foundation for the next one. The focusing question will lead you to the one thing in these key areas of your life. You can adjust the time frame by replacing right now with this year, next year, in 5 years, etc. For example, you can say, what is the one thing I can do in 5 years that by doing it everything else becomes easier or unnecessary? Here are some examples of focusing questions to ask for each aspect of your life. Say the category first, ask the question, include the time frame, and add the last part. Let's go through all the aspects in order. Ask yourself. For my spiritual life, what is the one thing I can do to strengthen my relationship with God? What's the one thing I can do to help people in need? For my physical fitness, what's the one thing I can do to lose weight? What's the one thing I can do to avoid stress? For my personal development, what's the one thing I can do to have time for myself? What's the one thing I can do to be an expert in my skill? For my relationship, what's the one thing I can do to improve my relationship with my children? What's the one thing I can do to avoid arguing with my spouse? For my career, what's the one thing I can do to give my best performance? What's the one thing I can do to increase our profit? What's the one thing I can do to improve customer service? For my finances, what's the one thing I can do to increase my savings? What's the one thing I can do to pay off my credit card debt? Here are some practical tips to make the focusing question a habit. First, believe in the power of the one thing. Have faith that it can change your life. Second, start your day by asking the focusing question. It gives you a clear direction. You will be more productive at work and fulfilled in your personal life. Third, you must apply the focusing question consistently. Research says that people need 66 days to develop a habit. You must ask the focusing question every day without fail, so it will stick and be part of your routine. Fourth, Use reminders. You can use sticky notes, screensavers, journals, calendars, or alarms to remind yourself to ask the focusing question. For example, you can put a sticky note on your desk that says, "Until the one thing is done, everything else is a distraction." You can also write, "The one thing leads to extraordinary results," or "The success habit is the key to my goal." Fifth and last, get support from your family and friends. Share the focusing question with your loved ones. Teach them how it can make a difference in their career, schoolwork, or other areas of their lives. Ask for their help and develop the focusing question habit together. Extraordinary results. There is a simple formula for applying the one thing and reaching extraordinary results. It is purpose, priority, and productivity. Imagine them as three levels of an iceberg. Purpose is at the bottom, priority is in the middle, and productivity is on top. Only 1/3 of the iceberg, or productivity, is seen above the water. When people are very productive, it means that they have a strong sense of purpose and priority. For businesses, there is an additional level on the top, which is profit. A company's level of productivity and profit depends on its purpose and priority. People only see great results, but individuals and companies need a firm foundation to have them. Let's have a story to understand the connection of purpose, priority, and productivity better. Ebenezer Scrooge is a character from Charles Dickens' novel, A Christmas Carol. Scrooge is a cold-hearted, greedy man. He loved increasing his wealth, but never shared it with anyone. Scrooge was a lonely man. He lives alone in his big house. No one greets him on the streets to say hello. No one cares for him because he cares for no one. Scrooge is a penny pincher. He gives very little to others and keeps as much as he can for himself. On Christmas Eve, Scrooge dreamt about his former business partner, Jacob Marley. The ghost of Marley gave a warning to Scrooge to change his mean attitude. Marley was also a greedy man when he was alive. He told Scrooge that if he didn't change, he would be haunted by the past, present, and future. As his dream continued, Scrooge saw how he became a cold-hearted man. He saw how he rejected people every day and treated them badly. Finally, Scrooge saw how miserable his life will be if he didn't change. He woke up terrified the next morning. Scrooge realized his mistakes. He moved as quickly as he could to change his fate. Scrooge has one employee named Bob Cratchit. He goes out on the street and instructs a boy to buy the biggest turkey and send it anonymously to Cratchit's home. Scrooge also saw the man he rejected for asking for donations to charity. He prayed to God for forgiveness and pledged to give a huge amount of money to the poor. Later that day, Scrooge went to the home of his nephew and asked forgiveness for never accepting invitations for holiday dinner. The nephew and his family were surprised. They can't believe it's Scrooge. The next morning, Bob Cratchit arrived late for work. Scrooge was angry at first, but then he caught himself and said that he will raise Cratchit's salary. He also covered the medical expenses for Cratchit's disabled son. Scrooge spent the rest of his life sharing his money and time with others. This story showed us the formula for living an extraordinary life. We must live with purpose, live by priority, and live with productivity. Purpose refers to our values and direction in life. Priority refers to what is most important for us, and productivity refers to the outcome of our actions. At first, Scrooge's purpose in life was to have money. He only cares and lives for money. His priority is to make as much money as he can. Thus, Scrooge is productive in earning, receiving, and counting money. That is all he does every day. He was selfish. He doesn't care about the suffering of people around him. But after his dream, Scrooge changed. His purpose became to help people. His priority became to give and share in any way he could. He built good relationships with others. Scrooge became productive in being a kind and generous person. Live with purpose. Purpose is the ultimate source of personal strength. When you have a clear purpose, you have strong conviction and perseverance. You know where you're going, and you can make good decisions. You can find your purpose by answering these questions. What makes you get up in the morning? What keeps you going when you want to give up? Think of what you want to do in your life more than anything else. For Gary Keller, his purpose is to help others achieve their full potential. He does this through writing, teaching and coaching. Choose a direction. Start walking and see where it leads you. As time passes by, you will find out if it's really the one for you. If it's not, you can try again. You can change your life as Scrooge did. Live by priority. In Alice in Wonderland, Alice was lost in the woods and she asked the Cheshire Cat, "Would you please tell me which way should I go from here?" The cat answered, "It surely depends on where you want to get to." "I don't really care where," Alice said. "Then, little girl, it doesn't matter which way you go." The Cheshire Cat shows us the close connection between purpose and priority. If you have a purpose, you know where you want to go. If you have a priority, you will know how to get there. The word priority comes from the Latin word prior, which means first. It refers to only one important thing that comes before all the others. The term originated in the 14th century. For centuries, priority referred to just one thing. There was no such thing as priorities. That was until the 20th century. Today, the word has lost its meaning. We talk about our priorities all the time. Now we say highest priority, top priority, or most important priority, to refer to the task that we must do first. Gary Keller created a guide called Goal Setting to the Now to help you find your priority on one thing in the present. Sometimes we become confused with all our goals because we want a better future. We don't know which task to do first. Goal setting to the now is how you will line up your dominoes or goals until you achieve your dream. Imagine a line of dominoes. The first domino is your one thing right now. A few dominoes later comes your daily goal. Still, a few pieces later comes your weekly goal. Next is your monthly goal, then your 1-year goal, 5-year goal, and someday goal. One by one, you will bring them down. By finishing your one thing right now, you will eventually achieve your daily goal. By finishing your daily goal, you will eventually accomplish your weekly goal, and so on and so forth. Remember these tips in your goal setting. First, there can only be one. You may have priorities right now, but dig deeper until you discover your top priority. Next, identify the steps to accomplish your one thing and write them down. Keep copies of your list where you will often see them. Live for productivity. We are now on the tip of the iceberg. Your productivity and results are what people will see. They are driven by your purpose and priority. Now, you will learn an effective technique to make the most out of your time. This concept is called time blocking. You must time block 3 things. These are your time for rest, your one thing, and your planning time. You must do it in that order. Later, we will describe a calendar of how your typical month should go. Let's start with your time block for rest. It's important to take a break and relax because you will be more productive and energized afterwards. If you prioritize your one thing and finish it before anything else, you will have the freedom to rest. Take advantage of long weekends and holiday vacations. Block them out and reserve that time for yourself and your family. Next, time block your one thing. The majority of your days should be dedicated to that. The most productive people start their day doing their one thing. You can have 30 minutes to 1 hour to prepare yourself and eat breakfast, then start your one thing. Gary Keller recommends to time block 4 hours for your one thing daily. That's the minimum. If you could spend more time on it, that would be better. The best-selling author Stephen King used time blocks too. He described his daily routine. His mornings are exclusively for writing his new book. In the afternoon, Stephen King takes a nap and reads his letters. He spends his evenings with his family, reading books and watching baseball on TV. Sometimes, Stephen works on revisions that he can't wait to make the next morning. You might say that it's easy for Stephen King to time block his mornings for writing because he is Stephen King. But try to think of it. Can he afford to do this because he is a famous author? Or did he become a famous author because he did this? The last thing you must time block is your planning time. Block 1 hour every week to review your monthly and annual goals. Plan what needs to be done this month so you are on track with your annual goals. Then, plan what must be accomplished this week so you are in line with your monthly goal. Your time block calendar should look like this. On the first week, Monday to Friday is dedicated for your one thing. Sunday is for planning. On the second week, Monday to Wednesday is for your one thing. Thursday to Sunday is time for rest. The third and fourth week are the same as the first week. This is just a sample. Now, you must protect your time block to ensure your productivity. Avoid all distractions. If you receive an invitation from someone, apologize and say that you have something scheduled at that time. If the person is disappointed, show sympathy but remain firm. Conclusion. The one thing is the most important task you must do. Once you finish it, everything else becomes easier or unnecessary. You learned the domino effect. Focus on finishing one task at a time. Find the first domino, bring it down, and work on the next one. You learned the focusing question. What is the one thing I can do that by doing it all my other tasks become easier or unnecessary? The big picture question refers to your one thing, while the small focus question refers to your one thing right now. You learned the success habit. It is to ask the focusing question on the key areas of your life like spiritual life, physical fitness, etc. You can also change the time frame right now to another time in the future, such as this year or next year. You learned the simple formula for extraordinary results. It is purpose, priority, and productivity. You need a strong purpose and clear priority to be highly productive. You learned the priority technique, goal setting to the now. Think of your goal right now, today, this week, this month, this year, in the next 5 years, and someday. Focus on your one thing right now and keep going until, eventually, you have accomplished all your goals. You also learned the productivity technique of time blocking. Block your time for rest, for your one thing, and for planning. It is best to dedicate at least 4 hours in the morning to your one thing. Now, it's up to you to find your one thing. Imagine your line of dominoes. Bring the most important thing down one by one until eventually you have achieved success. Believe that you can do the impossible one thing at a time. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more productivity tips.